Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Make Space for More podcast, where we talk strategies for growing and scaling your business in a way that's authentic and aligned for you. I'm your host, Melissa Swink, and in today's episode, we're going to talk about a topic that keeps coming up in conversations, not only with our clients, but just other entrepreneurs and people in my network. And this is a topic that I personally have very little knowledge of. So today I've brought in a fellow entrepreneur as a subject matter expert to discuss tax planning and strategy. So before we dive into all the nuts and bolts of today's topic, I want to formally introduce Carmine Guida Jr., who is a partner at Basso and Guida, bringing over 15 years of experience in individual and business tax planning. Known for providing top-level professional advice in a clear and approachable manner, he helps clients navigate complex financial decisions with confidence. Under his leadership, Basso and Guida has been recognized as a Dan's Papers Hall of Fame winner for Best Accounting Firm on the North and South Fork of Long Island, New York, solidifying its reputation for excellence. Carmine, thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today and share with our audience. I'm really excited to dive in.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for the introduction.
Yes, absolutely. So before we talk tax and planning and strategy and all of that, why don't you first of all tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So yeah, I'm Carmine Guida, founded our firm Basso and Guida here in Riverhead, New York, back in 2015 with my partner Jesse. We met at a mid-size personal tax firm out here on the island. Worked there for 5 years, but it was very draining. Worked 80-hour weeks during tax season, no lunch breaks, no days off, no nothing like that. And it was a while ago. I mean, workplaces have changed a lot. Even that one has. I know they've told me, but it was tough to we're at an age where we're looking to move on in our lives, start a family, have more. So we wound up leaving there, going on separate paths, but starting the company to kind of continue our personal tax practice. And then gained experience. I was the controller of a construction company out here. And that kind of gave me a full, well-rounded experience from the personal tax side, for which we did for 5 years. And then the construction company business side, not only business operational, but the business taxes and understanding all of that. And then I worked at a larger accounting firm here and kind of honed in on the business tax side and buying and selling of businesses. Franchises. So, okay. Yeah. And now we're here full time. So we had all that experience, went through those jobs while maintaining the business on the side. And as of 3 years ago, we're full time working for ourselves.
That's fantastic. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, absolutely. You passed that, first of all, that 1 year mark, but now 3 years full time in the business. Was this something that you had? So you had mentioned going full time. Is this something that you had kind of, I don't want to say dabbled in the beginning, but was it something that you ran more of on a part-time basis and then you went all in, or how did that work out as far as your time commitment goes?
Yeah, so we were doing it on the side while we maintained full-time jobs. So it was like a part-time thing for the most part. And then as we kept growing, it got to the point where we either had to jump in with both feet and figure out how to make it work, or we'd have to stop taking clients and, cap out our work. There's only so many hours in the day. And,
right.
Even though we were working for ourselves, it was kind of like going back to what we left the original company for. Here we are, slaving along. So, yeah, had to jump in.
Yes, absolutely. That's always something that I feel like I talk to a lot of people who are maybe part-time in their businesses, or they've got a full-time gig and they have a business idea that they're really passionate about. And there's always that tipping point of, when do I jump all in on this business? Whether it's like completely leaving the corporate and starting from scratch, or, making a decision of, where you want to be spending the majority of your time. Is it going to be releasing the part-time business you have, or growing the part-time business to become full-time? So it's always that and the answer is different for everybody, I feel like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, for us, it was kind of like, if we kept going and kept bringing on more clients, the quality of service would go down. We wouldn't be able to get back to people.
Yep.
And we just didn't want to sacrifice that. Mm-hmm. So even if we did keep growing, it would be selfish because we wouldn't be able to serve the clients that we have.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. And I even can think of an accounting firm that I used to work with as a client. Not they weren't a client of ours, just to clarify, but we saw the same things. I experienced the same things, the things that you were trying to avoid, where they were growing through acquisition. So they were buying out a lot of smaller accounting firms or smaller tax preparers, and they just grew way too fast, and they couldn't, I don't know, they didn't I don't know that they didn't hire fast enough, or they weren't able to hire the qualified people that they need. But then the service and the communication just took a dive, and
Mhm.
it's hard to see that happen for any business, and certainly doesn't feel very good to be on the receiving end either.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So now you've been in the business, you and your partner, for the last 3 years. How have things grown and evolved in the business since you went full time? Just out of curiosity.
When we originally went full time, it was kind of like the back end of everything that was going on with all the COVID things, the PPP loan forgiveness and the employee retention credit and all that stuff. So we had to deal with all that still from COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Then the new tax laws just came out now. Everything's been kind of consistent, but it's the big beautiful bill came out, so that's going to change things quite a bit for this
Okay.
upcoming tax year. So it's like we kind of had the back end of ERC, then there was kind of like a small maintenance period, and now with the new laws, things will change a little bit.
Yeah, and I didn't even think about diving in from that angle, but even just for my own self personally, I certainly do not spend my time studying the tax code, and but I keep hearing about the big beautiful bill. What should business owners be doing right now with all of these changes? Obviously, working with an expert like yourself who is up on all of these changes, but
Mm-hmm.
anything else off the top of your head, high level, that people should be paying attention to or doing at this moment in time with all these changes coming down the pipeline?
Yeah, no, I think the biggest change that came about has to do with the taxability of overtime and tips and everything like that. Like the W-2 forms are going to change, the reporting is going to change. Like it's not as simple as no tax on overtime. There's limits, there's certain jobs that won't apply to.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess working with the employees, whether it be a tipped employee or somebody who is working overtime, to kind of see if they qualify and make sure that that's all reported and handled properly. Because it's
Okay.
not a one size fits all kind of thing, as we wound up learning about. And there's still more detail that's going to be released as time goes on.
Yeah.
But yeah, a little bit more complex than it seems on the surface.
How do you stay on top of all this information? I would imagine you do a lot of reading. And I don't know if you're involved in other professional organizations or if you do any type of continuing education. Like, what does that look like for you? Because things are just, the only thing that's constant is change.
Well, so yes, we are mandated to do continuing education, and we do take yearly seminars from a tax lawyer on the individual tax update, business tax update, and our state update here in New York to for the constant changes there. And we'll do an ethics class and another tax update from a different provider. So the other ones are like in person at a hotel, they do them, or we'll do a Zoom seminar.
Okay.
And then the other ones, it could be like just a self-learn that we'll do. Just to
Okay.
kind of, yeah, I mean, we have to do a lot. So, I mean, to take them in different avenues and methods to see, what we can get out of each. It always is better having somebody explain all this stuff to you and have like a live Q&A session so you can get the most out of it. Because
Agreed.
nothing's straightforward with any of this.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the questions and the additional clarifications always helps.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And this is one other thing that I thought of. And then I want to start talking about, tax planning and strategy and things like that for businesses. But you are located in New York, obviously, but you work with clients from all over, correct?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And I gained a lot of that experience when I worked at this large tax firm here because we did, I think, like 36 states, like businesses in 36 states. So each one with the different tax returns that are required, right, rules and regulations, all that stuff. So yeah, we'll work with people nationwide. Very,
Okay.
very, comfortable with that as well.
Yeah, very good to know. So just kind of diving into some of the basics here. What is the difference between just basic tax preparation and proactive tax planning for business owners?
So I would say the traditional, hands off is just like you have somebody do your personal tax return every year. You bring them the documents and the relationship ends there essentially.
Yep.
I mean, what we try to do with everybody is to open the door to let them know, like, even if it's a personal client, business client, that we're available year round for the proactive tax planning. Now, businesses and people who are in like an all-encompassing, we talk to them all the time.
Mm-hmm.
We'll do more of the proactive planning, which would be, I guess it's really built on communication.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Really. I mean, because if, like you're saying, the non-proactive, you're going in just having your taxes done. Proactive, we're talking all the time. We're making sure things are handled in October for the tax season that's coming up.
Yes.
You know what I mean? We're having quarterly meetings. We're reviewing profits, expenses, even like one-off calls like, hey, what do I do with this? Yeah. I'm going to do this. I'm hiring a new employee, whatever. Mm-hmm. So it's all about constant communication and making sure we're strategizing 6 months ahead of
sure.
Where we want to be.
Sure, absolutely. That actually is perfect, because my next question really was like, I understand the concept of, hey, let's meet towards the end of this year to make sure that things are in good shape for the upcoming tax season. Maybe we need to talk about, do I need to find some more expenses to be written off? Like, if I set aside enough money for taxes in a savings account, like some of those basic conversations. But really what you're talking about and what you value most in working with your clients is talking throughout the course of the year, not just at the year's end, and kind of scrambling, if you will, to prepare for next year.
Yeah, that's the way we can get the most out of it, and actually understand what the client's tax situation is. The way I like to kind of liken it to how it works like a doctor. You know what I mean? You go in, you tell them all your symptoms, you talk throughout the year. I mean, maybe you only see your doctor once a year, mm-hmm. but for the most part, I mean, the more information you have, the more you can help.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And you talked about communication really being key. And that's something that you and I think we've both talked about in previous conversations, is the clients who get the most value of working with our VA team or with your company are the ones that are communicating regularly, keeping us in the loop, and so that we can keep a finger on the pulse of what's happening in the business and be able to provide the very best support and expertise directly related to what's going on.
No, absolutely. I mean, it's a symbiotic relationship, right? I mean, we need to be in constant contact with the client to make sure that everything's going well.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep, 100%. So, so for the business owner who's listening and they really haven't done any tax planning at all beyond, their annual filing, of course, what would be the very first step that they should take today? So they only see their CPA maybe once a year to file their taxes. How do they start becoming proactive when it comes to tax planning?
I mean, step one is contact your accountant. Make sure that they're available and willing to have these meetings to review these things. Mm-hmm. If not, I mean, it's hard to kind of move forward in a relationship like that, because as a business owner, you really do. I mean, it's one of the pillars. Yes. You need your insurance guy, you need your tax guy, and you need a lawyer. Mm-hmm. And those are people that are very important to your business. Yeah. So the tax guy, you need to have somebody on your team as an accountant to advise you on personal, business, everything at all times. So it's really just, if that's not happening, it's important to reach out and make sure you have somebody on your side who, will have these meetings with you.
Yeah, absolutely. What would you say that somebody should look for and know that they're working with the right accountant?
I think if you're being asked questions that make you think, that's a good person to have, because it shows that they're engaged. They probably know some of the most updated rules, especially if the things are enlightening you, like you haven't heard of it or whatever. That's mm-hmm. good. And I know it seems silly, but it's important to have somebody that has a personality that meshes with yours. You don't want to be scared of calling your accountant. I hear a lot of people, they get scolded, their accountant scolds them. And it's incredible, but it's important. It's supposed to be somebody that you have a good relationship with and you want to talk to. So It's good to make sure you mesh.
I love it. Like, we keep going back to the basics here, like communicating regularly and being very open, and then working with people we like.
I know it seems like we're simple, but harder. It doesn't happen in practice a lot.
Yep, absolutely. So if those of us, and I'll be honest, I am just kind of starting with the whole tax planning and strategy phase, because I've always set aside money for taxes. I've set aside a percentage of all of our revenue into a savings account. And then I've always thankfully had enough to cover, the taxes I need to pay in, or, paid in quarterly or whatever. But now that the business is continuing to grow, we converted to an S corp this year. So things look a little bit different. I'm just kind of starting off with this. And so I'm also questioning, like, who do I need in my corner who can help advise me on these types of things? So I know I'm not alone in that, for sure.
Yeah, and that strategy that you're discussing, even for yourself, is kind of like a survival strategy, right? It's like you're just putting money away into savings and, hoping that that's what covers everything at the end of the year, which is a smart business practice, right? Better than most.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, to have that clarity, to make sure that you're saving the right amount.
Mm-hmm.
How much should you be? Are you saving too much? And you could use the rest of the money as operating capital. You don't have to go into other kind of credit or whatever. It's,
Right.
it'd be good to, have that clarity for yourself.
I love the way that you said that, because you're right. It's kind of in survival mode. I was thinking even just like being very disciplined with, kind of managing our funds and what's coming through. But you're right. I'll say it, I have no idea of about how much I need to be paying in. Like, how much should be in my tax savings account right now based on where we're at. I have no idea.
Right. It's like you're saving up for the zombie apocalypse. You know what I mean? And you don't know if it's coming or not. That's what it's like. You're putting the money away
Yes, you're right. And
for the
I
tax
know,
apocalypse.
yeah, yes, the tax apocalypse. That's perfect. That's a perfect way to describe it. And I'll be honest with you, there were many years that tax time would get really stressful for me. Like, how much am I going to have to pay in? Am I going to get in trouble for something that I, unknowingly didn't do? So then I think that lately, in the last few years, I've been erring more on the side of, I'm just going to throw a ton of money into my quarterly estimated payments, and then I'm going to get a refund back. Thank God.
Hopefully, right? Yeah, hopefully.
Right, exactly. I have gotten a refund in the last couple of years, but then to your point though, that's also money that could have been used for something else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Listen, we have people who want to overpay and make sure that they're good. They'd rather get a refund, but we try to toe that line where you pay in enough so you don't pay estimated tax penalty and all that stuff. But so you have your money all year round.
Yeah, 100%. So kind of going into some of the common things that business owners may face and would um, gain they would gain a whole lot of knowledge and really confidence from working with somebody like yourself. One of those things is also hiring employees or contractors. So maybe there's a solopreneur listening who is thinking about bringing on a subcontractor to help with some of the work that's coming in, or they're thinking about hiring maybe a receptionist for their office because they can't keep juggling, the front desk and all the work that they're doing. What sort of tax implications should they be aware of, or what are some of the steps that they should take to make sure that they're doing things appropriately?
For us, we like to use payroll companies
Okay.
as opposed to like doing something by yourself, like a Gusto or a QuickBooks. Those seem to create more headaches than it's worth. Like having the cheaper option, you're responsible for a lot. You have to keep up on the updates and stuff like that yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, as it is, you got to shop around and somebody will always give you the best deal, but working with a payroll company is always is best.
Gotcha.
And then it's kind of like, if you're going to do that, the payroll company will also help. If you're bringing on an employee, what documentation do you need? How should you handle it and record it? What the costs are going to be of having that employee on payroll with the, the Medicare tax, Social Security tax, unemployment, depending on what state you're in, how that's handled. Because there's going to be different state tax rules too.
Okay.
So the payroll company will help navigate all of that. It's kind of like working with an accountant, but specifically for payroll. They should be able to help guide you along with that.
That's good to know, because right now my bookkeeper handles all of that, and she runs, my payroll through QuickBooks. But that's definitely an interesting take. And that's also something that clients, when they start hiring employees, they're looking for, they usually term it as like an HR consultant. Or like an HR coach of some kind, where they're like, I need somebody to be able to answer my questions in terms of like, what paperwork do I need, or do I need an employee handbook? And again, these are areas that we don't touch, but a payroll company might even be able to answer some of those questions too, it sounds like.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, one employee, things are like on easy street. We have clients who work with QuickBooks, right? They everything's going well. They know how to operate it. They haven't had any issues. It's fine. But like I said, it's very difficult if you ever call up and have a question, which actually we saw a lot of times with the during the COVID area with the PPP loans
Mhm.
and ERC, people trying to contact the payroll companies. And if you have QuickBooks, it's tough to get someone on the phone who knows what they're talking about or can help guide you in the right direction when it came to that stuff.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. Just out of curiosity, are there any particular payroll companies that you recommend?
Um, the biggest thing for me
Hmm.
is
Or what to look for in a payroll company?
yeah, because wouldn't necessarily be one company over another. It's the representative you work with at a
Okay.
payroll company. Like we have such a strong relationship with the representative that we work with, where he services our clients, with white gloves, and that's the most important thing to us. Like it just having somebody at the payroll company to call and make sure they answer your calls, and they're
Hmm.
always willing to point you in the right direction. You need a single point of contact. That's the most important thing. Because
Yeah,
otherwise, you're still if you're gonna work with a major payroll company, you'll call up a number, you'll get passed through the ringer. You need somebody.
you're right.
That's the most important thing. So it could be whatever payroll company it is, as long as you have a point of contact, a salesperson who's not just going to hand you off and
Mhm.
have you, good luck with my team. That won't matter. That's
Okay.
the person you need.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. If we keep going back to basics, the communication and doing business with people that you like and you trust, that's really at the end of the day the most important thing.
Yeah, simple.
Yep. We keep
Pretty
going
simple.
back to that direction. Okay. So another thing that I get talked to about frequently and things that even I wonder about for myself is what are some commonly overlooked deductions that scaling business owners often miss?
This is a good question because a lot of people think there's like some secret sauce, right? Like they're going to call somebody up and be like, what should I be taking advantage of?
Mhm.
And they're looking for like, oh, buy a piece of equipment, you'll get triple the tax deduction or something like that. It's not.
Yes.
There's not really any
Hmm.
magic sauce. But the biggest thing that we see that everyone should be taking advantage of is the PTET, the pass through entity tax.
Okay.
Most states have it. And if you're an S corp or a partnership, you pay tax at the entity level and you're able to deduct it on your business return. And that's something that we see maybe one out of two clients knows about and takes advantage of
Okay.
before they meet us. And then it's like, we talk it through and make sure it works for them, which is 99% of the time it does work for these people.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's commonly overlooked, not knowing that we can deduct the state tax and have the entity pay the tax on your behalf. Because then we get a deduction. I mean, yeah, the SALT tax limit, right? The state and local tax
Hmm.
was just expanded to 40,000 with the big beautiful bill, but that's assuming you itemize deductions and it can work for you. The pass through any tax, everybody could deduct it no matter what happens on their personal return. They deduct it at the business level. So that's probably the biggest thing
Hmm.
that I would say everyone should be taking advantage of. That's very simple.
Okay. I'm sitting here nodding, going like, yes, that makes perfect sense. I know all about this. I don't. So, case in
See?
point, I'm learning along with our audience, like, I have no idea what that is. I should probably look into that. So,
Yeah,
yes, we'll definitely have to have a follow-up conversation, it sounds like.
that works.
Absolutely. So, on the flip side of things, when it comes to deductions, what are some of the things that people think should be deductible, but often are not? Like, is there anything that you can think of that's a common theme that's misunderstood?
Um, Normally it's people just trying to push the envelope. You know
Okay.
what I mean? It's like it's something that, yeah, I get it. You use it for X, Y, and Z, but like I'm taking my wife out to dinner. Like it's not. Yeah, is your wife a client or an employee? Maybe, but like it's not. I'm not buying it.
Yep. Yep. It
Just
happens to
trying to
be
push
your
the envelope.
anniversary, and clearly we're going to talk business.
Yeah, yeah.
That's really
Just
funny.
yeah.
Yes.
But
Yes.
that'll happen till the end of time. Everyone will be trying to do stuff like that forever.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. It's interesting because, I personally know business owners. Now, I would put them in the category of more hobbyist business owners, where this is not necessarily what they're doing to provide for their families, put food on the table and things like that. But, the income is kind of nice and they have fun doing it. But I say that because I know many people who fall into this category that they just think, well, I don't want to show that I made any money. Like I just want to break even so then I don't have to pay taxes. But then they hold themselves back at the same time by doing that.
Yeah, Yeah, I mean, it's things have changed so much
Mhm.
where it's beneficial for you truly to show the income. I mean, nobody likes paying the taxes, but it's beneficial. You need a loan, right? A lot of people we work with are trying to buy a house, refinance, get business loans. You need to show money to get money from the bank nowadays. It's not, can't just give them a piece of paper. They want bank statements, they want tax returns. So
Right.
it's
Yes,
beneficial.
absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that's something that I can certainly relate to, like, because you need to be able to show buying power at the end of the
Hmm.
day. If you're showing that you're not making any money and then you go to apply for a loan, like the two cannot be true. Like both cannot be true.
Right, right.
Yes. Yes, it's interesting. People have a lot of money stories, which I'm sure that you run into those all the time.
Yes, yes, unfortunately. But it's okay. That's what we're here for, part therapist.
Right. Yes. I would imagine that you are at times where somebody comes in or, they have a quarterly meeting with you and they're like, okay, this happened and that happened and that happened. Now, what do I do? And you're hearing the whole story and you're advising along the way.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It happens all the time. And I would say the most is during tax season because we see those people once a year.
Yes.
So when they come in, they go over their whole year, good or bad. And it's like, we sit there and talk about their personal life for a while. It's like a therapist. They let everything out. We know these people for a while. They're comfortable with it,
Yep.
you know?
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. The last thing that I want to touch on before we kind of wrap things up, because I want to make sure that our audience knows where they can find you. Because if anybody's like me and they're listening to this going like, there's a lot of things that I don't know. I really do need to have a conversation with Carmine. So, what are some habits or systems that entrepreneurs can put into place now so that they are audit ready just in case and to reduce that risk?
I'd say a big thing is separating personal and business expenses as much as you can. That's a
Mhm.
big help. I mean, can you have personal things on the business and, we could show that as distributions and not expenses?
Mhm.
Yes. But from the IRS perspective, whenever they look at somebody's information, it's more beneficial to have everything separate. There's no confusion. They're not questioning everything.
Mhm.
That's a big piece. And really giving yourself a good document retention guideline in
Okay.
terms of receipts, credit card statements, line of credit statements, anything that it is, whether it be digital or physical. Having
Okay.
digital copies is pretty easy nowadays, and you could print everything out if you ever needed the physical paper copy.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. Absolutely. So going back to some of the basics, not
Yeah,
not commingling personal and business, but then also having the appropriate documentation that you need.
yeah,
Mhm.
it's the
Mhm.
perfect starting point.
Yeah, absolutely. Are there any particular tools or apps that you personally recommend or that you know clients are using in order to keep track of some of these things?
People use a lot of different stuff. I mean, I think I forgot the name. Dext was one that somebody is using, which is fine. I mean, QuickBooks has the capability where you can attach things to transactions and receipts, and they've streamlined that process. So that's
Mhm.
good too, and that ties right into the financial records.
Mhm.
And even as simple as like OneDrive
Yeah.
or Google Drive,
Mhm.
something simple like that, and separating things and organizing it in your own cloud storage
Mhm.
is an effective way of doing it as well.
Yeah, I'll be honest that pretty much any receipt for any software subscriptions or certainly, invoices that I get from our vendors, anything like that, they all have a folder in our accounting email box where it's all in there. So if anybody asks, we have it. So and it's searchable, that way by date and things. Gone are the days I think are the shoe boxes of receipts.
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
I mean, we still have one client who brings us a shoebox of stuff every year, but
Mhm.
now it's just like a funny joke. But yeah, it's only one person.
One out of how many? You know what I mean? Like one
Right.
out of many.
Hundreds, right? Yeah.
Right. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Carmine, this has been very, very informative. Thank you so much. I think overall, what I've gotten from this is that really business owners who are actively growing and scaling need to have a relationship with a tax accountant that they like and that they can communicate well with, they feel comfortable with, and enjoy working with. And then having regular conversations throughout the year are going to be a game changer for them when it comes to tax preparation.
Yeah. Yeah. You nailed it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, to our audience who's listening, Where can we connect with you or find you online?
So I'm on LinkedIn as Carmine Guida Jr., and we have a business Instagram account, Basso underscore Guida underscore LLC, all spelled out. And we try to release a lot of content on there, blog updates, stuff like that. Not really too much of my partner and I, quacking around and the activities that we do, more just like educational stuff.
Yep. Yep. Okay. Gotcha. So value added information for sure.
Yes. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Absolutely. Well, again, thank you so much for taking the time to have this conversation. Really appreciate you. And thank you to our audience for tuning into today's episode. I will be back with another episode next week of Make Space for More, where we'll discuss some more tips, tools, and strategies to grow your business beyond you. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Bye bye.